Okay, we're back. So I decided I'm gonna stop saying the number of the video at the beginning because I was like looking back and rewatching them, and I'm pretty much wrong about the number like every single time. So I'm just gonna say another day, another day. I've been seeing some like feedback about the videos, and although I don't really want to change the format a ton, I kind of like that it's like a little bit raw and it's like a low amount of editing. I got a nice idea about trying to fill some of the like dead air that occurs during the time lapse. And so on this particular video, I'm going to do like a little bit of a monologue, but partway through the monologue, maybe even like about here, I'm gonna go into like a picture in picture that has me talking and the beginning of the time lapse. And then I might fill in the last part of the time lapse with music, or it might just be dead air and that's just the way it is. And then we'll have kind of like the ending monologue. Um, just a new format. Let's see. One of the things I really like about doing these videos is like the minimal editing they require. So this is anything else that adds friction has like a chance of like not sticking around. But let's see. Like I'm super open to feedback and improving the videos a little bit. But that's about the videos, and the reason that we're here is about art. So I kind of want to start a new little kind of project today. So, I've done so many of these videos, and probably for like the past like 3 or 4 weeks, even before I started doing videos, I've just been doing a lot of practice, like really just practice, 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 kind of, sharpening some skills, thinking about gesture, line, process, all these different things. But I haven't really drawn anything like made a drawing as like an image for me. So I think what I might do is start today. I only actually have like a short amount of time to draw, probably about 30 minutes. I'll even probably set a little timer and start a block in for a drawing that I would like to become a somewhat finished or final drawing. And I haven't decided which reference. It might even be one that we've already seen. I might just kind of like work with that a little bit. But I'd like to take this a bit further. So that means rather than just working on it for one day and kind of like working on it as a sketchbook, just working on it for the purposes of practicing something. I'm actually kind of working on this as if, imagine that it was going to go into a portfolio or that I was going to end up sending it to a show or something. And so that what that means is that I'm not actually focused on any particular thing. I won't just be trying to, emphasize process or gesture or line. In fact, I'd like to try and incorporate all three of these. And generally that takes more time. So if I do, 3 sessions or so on this drawing, that should be enough time where I can actually, start to pull out some of these things and really try and emphasize them. And I think it'll be just kind of like a nice break in what's been, monotonous, continuous practice. While really valuable, I think it's good to like take a break every once in a while. And I'm kind of craving just like finishing a drawing and having something to hang up. And so I have this like this is like a bit of a new medium, which is not always great to work on a new medium the first time when you're doing a project like this. Like generally, it's probably better to practice or do some sketches on other mediums. But what I have here is like it's like a watercolor paper, but a bit thinner. And I have a few sheets of this, and not that many, which is why I don't really want to sketch or practice. So I want to do my drawing right onto this. So there will be a little bit of let's say, fighting with the material, kind of exploring the material that's going on in the beginning as well. But I've drawn on very similar. This is not the first time I've drawn on kind of like a hard cardstock, so I think it should be like I kind of know my way around it. The challenges here are generally that you get some smudging, and you have to be like kind of really careful, especially as you get deeper into the drawing when you're trying to protect values, like keep values separated. It's really easy to kind of smudge or smear. But on the bright side, you actually get these like really nice texture, and it tends to take to graphite like really well, this type of medium. Um, so that's kind of the plan a little bit and what I'm thinking about. But I guess let's just jump right in, and then I might have more to say after we do our block in. So this is like the first part of probably a couple different pieces, and I will see you in a little bit. Okay, so that was about 35 minutes of drawing or so. And as you can see, I'm going very, very, very slowly. So I did a few like little, or just one actually, one little sketch. I also did if you've been following up with the series, I've actually drawn a block in of this particular gesture, this particular pose before. So I was also kind of like referencing that as I'm drawing. But the difference I think here is like kind of highlighted between what I'm doing now and what I was doing in the sketchbook a little bit is this like pace of movement. Because I'm going for like one finished final piece here and I'm trying to get it of a certain caliber, my decision making is much more patient and much slower. And I'm actually pretty happy with not getting that far in a day, actually, because I'm okay to come back to something multiple days. And generally, when you come back the next day, you have like this fresh set of eyes and you can see issues that you didn't see before. So, I've done, eventually probably we'll get into like painting, and I do like a lot of alla prima painting. But I actually don't really like to try and finish a painting in one sitting because to me, it's just like not, you kind of need this factor of time, this time element in order to really be able to see a piece for what it is and what it needs. I remember I was watching, there's like a YouTube channel called Italia Squisita that has these like Italian cooks, kind of like, masters of their craft, going through and talking about some of the things that they like, some of the recipes that they're working on. And there's one chef that talks about like an ingredient that nobody considers is the ingredient of time. And that is this idea that like if you make something the day before, for example, like a tomato sauce, and you put it in the fridge, it generally has this property of like the flavor intensifying when you come back to it the next day. And also like if you cook it the first day and you come back to it the next day and you taste it, you can also like make the adjustments. Maybe you were like the day before you tasted it and you're like, wow, this is the most amazing thing I ever tasted. And then the next day you go back to it and you're like, actually, I think I was like kind of full of it yesterday. Or the reverse can happen where you think it's not good and you come back the next day and you're like, well, actually, wait a second, that works. And so like I think this is something that applies, across like all different crafts. But for me, for drawing especially, like I notice these kinds of things and definitely in the early stages when you're trying to find the drawing mistakes. So today I didn't even really get through the 3D construction. I think I should have stuck to my process a little bit better in the sense that I didn't do the 2D construction. I didn't finish putting in the hair before I started to put in the build out the features and things like that. I kind of am getting away with it, but that was probably not the best respect for the process that I've been practicing, the one that goes 2D construction, 3D construction, like block in the shadow shapes, match the shadow shapes, half edges and half tones. And I will be following that for this drawing, like is one of my intentions. But I've already kind of broken away with it. So that's the other benefit now that I am like taking a break. I get to like be a bit more critical. And now when I come in tomorrow, I'm going to start by finishing out the 2D construction and then continue on the 3D construction and really try and stick and keep to my process. I can also consciously think about the gesture. So I'm trying to kind of be aware of that. Luckily, the gesture here is like not too difficult. It's subtle, but not too difficult. So I think I'm like kind of capturing that well and understanding that well. Also, it helps that I've drawn this before. These are kind of some of the things I'm thinking about. And also line quality I'm thinking about, but it's still very early in the drawing. So I'm going to care more about line quality as I kind of get deeper into, like by the time I start massing in shadow shapes and thinking about edges, like I think edges and line kind of can work together. But I do have to be careful not to put down like too many dark, scratchy lines, and I need things to be really light right now and really like malleable. Malleable meaning like, this is just a property of the physical world, I guess. Like the darker you draw a line, the more difficult it is to erase. So you want to stay light with your lines in the beginning because you can actually erase them. Like you don't want to put down a super dark line and then realize like, oh man, shit, I put the nose here, and then you come back to it and it's like you try to erase it and you have this like kind of line that you can't, it's just like in the middle of your drawing, maybe like right above the lip, and it looks weird. And so, these are this is like a very basic line thing that you need to be conscious of, or that I'm trying to be, conscious of. But I think that's about it for the debrief. I'm excited to keep drawing tomorrow, actually. I'm really excited about it. So we'll continue through the rest of this week. And my goal is to finish this by the end of the week. So today is Tuesday. So I imagine, yeah, Thursday or Friday, I'll be able to kind of like wrap up this drawing and call it done. Okay, see you in the next session.